Dolphins head coach Mike McDaniel has taken over the NFL by storm the last 2 years with his comedic personality and brilliant offense in Miami, recently scoring a whopping 70 points against the Denver Broncos. But behind the lovable offensive mastermind is a deep emotional story where McDaniel battled with substance abuse and almost killed his NFL career multiple times. With not only the hardships he went through, but also the unbelievable way McDaniel got into the NFL, I guarantee this story will give you a far greater appreciation for Mike McDaniel. McDaniel was raised in Colorado by a single mom with his dad absent. Growing up, his favorite team was the Denver Broncos, and one day, he went to Broncos training camp. He was wearing a Charlotte Hornets hat he loved, but he lost it there and was crying. That's when Broncos assistant video director Gary McCune saw him emotional over the lost hat, and McCune went to get McDaniel a new Hornets hat to give to him the next day at camp. McCune invited McDaniel and his mom to watch training camp from inside the ropes, and from there, McCune and his mom fell in love, with them marrying a few years later. Because of his new stepdad, they all moved to Denver, and with the connection to the Denver Broncos from McCune, he got McDaniel the position to be the Broncos ball boy while in high school. After that, he played football at Yale for 4 years, and after graduating in 2005, got a coaching internship with the Broncos under head coach Mike Shanahan, who had remembered him from being the ball boy. McDaniel did data entry, something nobody else wanted to do, but McDaniel was eager, wanting his feet in the door. After the 2005 season, Broncos offensive coordinator Gary Kubiak became the Houston Texans head coach, and brought McDaniel along with him as an offensive assistant. Being on time was extremely important to Kubiak, so McDaniel had to be at his office at 6 in the morning, where Kubiak would call his office phone to know he was there. Fast forward 2 years later to 2008, McDaniel was going out a lot at night drinking, which was a major problem, and he found himself late for work twice because of it. After the second time McDaniel was late, Gary Kubiak fired him to teach him a life lesson to get his priorities straight, knowing that McDaniel wasn't mature enough and had an alcohol issue. When Kubiak fired him, he said, "You're going out too much, and you need to get that figured out." Mike McDaniel was devastated. He lost his dream job. He couldn't get another job in the NFL after he got fired, so he coached in the United Football League as a running backs coach for 2 years. But 865 days later, he was back in the league, being reunited with Mike Shanahan from Denver and joining the Redskins in 2011 as an offensive assistant. That Washington team famously had a loaded coaching room with Kyle Shanahan, Matt LaFleur, and Sean McVay alongside McDaniel. McDaniel felt immense pressure to catch up to those coaches who he all thought were doing better than him. He took it as him failing, and it took a toll on him greatly when he was there, and even after he left Washington after the 2013 season. The struggle with alcoholism continued, where when he spent a year being the wide receiver coach for the Browns, bottles of alcohol like vodka were discovered in the team facility. Even the Browns head coach Mike Pettin knew about it, but nobody offered him help. It got worse when he went to the Atlanta Falcons with Kyle Shanahan as an offensive assistant. Although he wasn't late like he was in Houston, he was drinking almost daily, and it was that bad where not only coaches would smell alcohol from McDaniel in team meetings, but he even found himself drinking in his office on a Wednesday night. A few unnamed members of the Falcons confronted McDaniel about getting help. This time with the confrontation, McDaniel knew he had an alcohol problem he couldn't run from any longer, and decided he wouldn't jeopardize his NFL career like he almost did in Houston. He courageously told his wife, and with the help of the Falcons team psychologist, he was diagnosed with depression. He checked himself into rehab for 3 weeks to quit and understand that he was using alcohol to check out and escape from his problems, fueled by pressure to be where his co-workers were, such as Shanahan, LaFleur, and McVay. His last drink to this day was on January 4th, 2016. After McDaniels finished rehab, he got rewarded from the staff with a bigger role during the 2016 season, helping develop the game plan weekly. And he contributed to the Shanahan-led Falcons offense that won Matt Ryan an MVP and got them to the Super Bowl. McDaniel followed Kyle Shanahan to San Francisco when he became the 49ers head coach the next season, taking on the role as a run game coordinator. Remember when I said McDaniel felt pressure to rise up in the coaching ranks? Well, he committed himself to learning and mastering the art of the running game and credits that to then Redskins offensive line coach Chris Forster on motivating him to learn all he could about the running game. This was because in Washington, when breaking down the offensive film, he was the only coach to give input to offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan about running plays. So McDaniel saw a huge opportunity to gain prominence in becoming a running game guru. 2 years later, thanks to McDaniel being the 49ers run game coordinator, the 49ers run game helped them to the Super Bowl. Following the 2020 season, McDaniel took a massive leap by getting promoted to being the 49ers offensive coordinator. After leading the 14th ranked offense in yards per game, and with his strong work in the running game, the Miami Dolphins were impressed with Mike McDaniel's football IQ for being regarded as a brilliant offensive mastermind and hired him to be their head coach. The rest is history, as Mike McDaniel has turned the Miami Dolphins around into legitimate contenders in the league with their explosive offense and Tua's development. His rise as an offensive genius is already impressive enough, but his story from almost ruining his NFL dream to getting the help he needed to overcome alcoholism is far more impressive. For anyone that struggled with addiction, McDaniel's story is inspiring. And remember how his story started by getting in contact with Gary McCune? That not only changed his life forever by leading him to become a head coach in the NFL, but it also changed his single mother Donna's life for the best.